The sun had barely risen over Brooklyn when Amara Johnson quietly laced up her worn-out sneakers and wrapped herself in an old, faded sweater. Her tiny apartment smelled of stale medication and faint lavender. In the dim corner of the room, her mother, Leona Johnson, lay still on a creaky bed. Cancer had drained her body but not the warmth in her eyes. Amara kissed her mother's forehead gently, her fingers trembling ever so slightly. She didn't say goodbye, there was no time for words. She quietly closed the peeling door behind her and stepped into another day of battles. By 5 a.m., Miller's diner flickered to life. Mr. Miller, a stout man in his late 50s, peeked through the office blinds and caught sight of Amara walking briskly toward the entrance. His lips curled in a thin, condescending smile. "Right on time. You people sure know how to work hard when you're desperate," he muttered under his breath. Amara's hands were scarred and calloused from months of dishwashing and scrubbing tables. But her lips never spoke a word of complaint. She knew every dollar earned here went toward her mother's chemo and her younger brother Malik's tuition. As she washed endless dishes under scalding water, Mr. Miller's sharp voice often rang behind her. "Faster, girl. Or there's a line of others waiting to take your place." She kept her head down and smiled politely. No one knew how much it hurt inside. By 7:30 a.m., Amara arrived at Jefferson High School. Her posture straightened, her smile brightened, as if nothing in the world could weigh her down. Yet, beneath that carefully crafted smile lived exhaustion, heartbreak, and fear. Here, she faced her second barrier, Mrs. Hudson. The most influential woman in the school PTA, mother of Kelly Hudson, and a woman who had never concealed her disdain for Amara. Mrs. Hudson often whispered to teachers and administrators. "Her mother's sick, her father left, do we really want that kind of girl representing our school? She's not stable." Kelly, her daughter, mimicked her mother's snide glances and haughty smirks. Even when Amara topped tests, won debates, and led volunteer work, Mrs. Hudson's shadow tried to dim her light. Flashback, Amara's childhood. At just 7, Amara had watched her father, Marcus Johnson, walk out the door one chilly morning and never return. Leona had picked up a sewing machine and stitched clothes tirelessly to keep her children afloat. From then on, Amara had understood, life wasn't a fairy tale, it was an uphill climb. Amara's hope rested on one thing, the National Merit Scholarship. She had studied relentlessly, balancing schoolwork with 2 part-time jobs. That scholarship was her key to college, her ticket out of generational poverty, and her mother's final wish. But on the day of her scholarship interview, Mr. Miller cornered her in the kitchen. "If you leave today, don't bother coming back tomorrow. Your job's gone," he snapped. "Your mother's meds, your brother's tuition, find another way to pay for it." Tears threatened to fall, but Amara swallowed them down. She glanced at the diner's fogged window where, beyond, her dreams were slowly slipping away. She wiped her face dry, tucked her apron tighter, and silently chose family over ambition. Mr. Whitaker, a kind-hearted history teacher, had been silently observing Amara for months. He saw through her smiles, he saw the weary shoulders, the hollow eyes. When she missed the scholarship interview, something in him stirred deeply. He started digging. Gathering evidence of Mr. Miller's exploitation. Documenting Mrs. Hudson's relentless sabotage of Amara's reputation. With unwavering resolve, Mr. Whitaker presented everything to the school board, shocking many with the truth behind Amara's life. His actions forced the board to suspend Mrs. Hudson and discredit her false claims. Meanwhile, Mr. Miller's diner faced a formal investigation for labor violations. But more importantly, Mr. Whitaker arranged for Amara to get a second chance to sit for her scholarship interview. This time, Amara walked into the interview room not just with her academic records but with her story. Her truth. She looked into the eyes of the scholarship panel and, with quiet dignity, said, "Every morning, I wash dishes to pay for my mother's treatments. Every afternoon, I study because I know education is my escape. In both places, I learned something important, the dignity of hard work and the power of hope. The room fell silent. Her voice, calm and steady, wrapped around everyone like a warm blanket. It was more than her grades now, it was her resilience that captured hearts. Unanimously, Amara was awarded the full scholarship, along with the National Youth Courage Award, recognizing her unmatched perseverance and compassion. At her graduation, Amara walked across the stage in a new dress. Her back straight, her head high, but her eyes still shimmered with the same hope as before. Her mother, now in remission, had left the wheelchair for the first time and stood tall in the crowd, clapping through tears. Malik's face glowed with pride. Mr. Whitaker sat in the front row, his usually stoic eyes wet with emotion. Far back, Mr. Miller and Mrs. Hudson sat with humbled, downcast faces. Amara had forgiven them both quietly, not for them, but to free herself. When Amara stepped up to the podium to give her valedictorian speech, she looked out at the sea of faces and smiled genuinely, the smile that no longer masked pain but radiated triumph. If life pushes you into the dark, don't stop smiling. Because sometimes, that smile is the first step toward the light. The hall erupted into thunderous applause. Her story wasn't just hers anymore. It belonged to anyone who had ever struggled silently but refused to give up. Epilogue, years later. Amara went on to become a civil rights attorney, founding an organization that provided legal aid to underprivileged youth. Her mother lived to see Malik graduate as an engineer. Mr. Whitaker's name graced the scholarship fund Amara established in his honor. And every time Amara smiled, the world smiled back, because they knew the strength that lived behind it.